Hey everyone, hope you're having a great Friday and I hope you are ready to have a great weekend. Just to get you prepared for the next week of trading, I want to cover some weekly charts like we typically do on Friday. I'm not going to cover a lot of charts, but there's a few things I certainly want to point out on the weekly charts that I think are worth noting. Obviously, you can see this pound New Zealand is one that I've been talking about, and one of those that I think is worth noting. So that's what we're going to get into. First, as always, just got to hit our terms real quick, and then we'll get back into these charts. Alright guys, and the terms basically are just a legal qualifying thing that the U.S. government requires of us to make sure that you know that this is not an investment service. We're not telling you how to risk your own hard-earned money. We're just giving you our opinions of the market. Okay, so if you need to pause it and read through that, please do. Please make sure you understand them. But it's just a requirement that you are fully understanding what the service of the daily analysis really is. And again, that's just our opinion of the market. Okay? So the pound New Zealand, as you know, is one that I'm already long on. I mentioned that yesterday as we were looking at these charts. And so what we have here is a pretty nice long-term weekly trend line. And of course, a nice thing about the weekly trend line for longs is that it's slightly bullish as well. It's obviously not a raging bullish trend, but there is a slightly bullish movement. And as far as the top, it's not like we're going down toward a wedge. It's pretty sideways, which means that as far as profit potential, you do have all the way up to 21 and higher as a reasonable profit potential for the move up if it does bounce. Now, me personally, I have a much smaller target. I'm actually targeting just the bottom of this sideways range here. You can see this range and kind of how tight it is. I'm targeting the bottom because I think that price is very likely to get to there. Whether it breaks through here, continues, struggles here, breaks through here, and heads up all the way to 21, I don't know. That's very possible. But quite frankly, as far as my trade's concerned, I want to get some profit. I don't want to wait around for it. So I'm long. I got long yesterday after the daily close. It's up about 160 pips at this point. And so I'm looking for about 250 pips, which is the bottom of this range. Actually about 240 pips. And so that's my target potential. If you are long and you're taking along on a weekly basis, you may very well want to target up toward 21. That's probably going to require some patience. It will likely struggle again in this area, even if it is going to continue. So some patience will be necessary, but I definitely think there's some huge profit potential here if you're willing to go ahead and be that patient. In this situation, am not. I'm looking for that daily bounce to continue, Monday and Tuesday, and hopefully get out of it by the end of Tuesday. But there is some weekly potential there as well. As far as the euro, we broke this level. I mentioned that we're in this channel, which is really the main thing that I'm focusing on the euro. And so we're getting near the top here. Now, one thing to be very careful of is that the top also corresponds with this previous high, which I would pay particular attention to. For those of you who go counter trend, it might be a good short opportunity. I personally would not be taking it short during the pretty steep uptrend. But for those of you who like those counter trend snap trades, this could be one. For me, of course, as you probably know, I'm waiting for it to come back down, and I'm going to try to grab the next long. But again, the euro dollar coming near the top of this level. For those of you who are already long, who caught it on the break of this level, be careful because we're at a point where it could definitely come back and retest the trend line here. But obviously, great job and well done for those of you who got long on the break and are up pretty nicely now. And you know what, guys, I just realized that my label says daily. This is still the weekly chart. I apologize. Did not change my label on the euro dollar. But this is the weekly chart, not the daily chart. Those are all weekly candles. Sorry about that. Okay, next we want to look at the rocket on the US yen. You can see just it crashing through, continuing, not letting up. Today, not today, but this week we start off with a nice pullback almost all the way to the weekly open of last week, but obviously ended up being a tail bar and pushing it even higher. This level that I have drawn here in red is a pretty huge level that it broke. Let me scroll back and just show you where that comes from here. You can see all in here and even back in here. This is a very major level. When you think about weekly bars and how they've respected this level, it's major, major, major. So the fact that it broke that is a pretty convincing sign. Now, it's amazing. You can see my next line all the way up at 94.4. That's really the next major level for me. It's here, all this consolidation that was tested here, and then even some points farther back. But that really is the next major level. Obviously, there is some stuff in the middle here, but not really major confluence. So this 94.45 is our next really big level, and that's pretty shocking to even say out loud, because that would be, let me tell you, over 500 pips before our next level. So those of you who are still thinking long on the US yen, and I couldn't blame you for that, one thing I'd be looking for is maybe a retest of this very major level, and then continuation from that point. For those of you who like to buy at levels, pending order, I mean, you might want to think about a buy pending order in case it does retest it. A medium stop loss and a target of all the way up here. Obviously, that's massive profit potential. Not the highest probability trade, because anytime you're buying into a recross, you never know how low it'll go when testing. So these are not typically high probability trades, but the risk to reward pretty incredible if it does something like that. So keep that in mind. Alright guys, pound dollar, this is the weekly chart, and again, nice wedge on the weekly. You can see that it's pretty consistent. Obviously, the assumption here is that it is going to come back to test the horizontal area that's forming this wedge. So I think along into this area is a pretty high probability move for the pound at this point. It may come back and test the line a few times, but it seems pretty high probability that it's going to at least test this level one more time before breaking out to one side. Especially with the nice tail bar off the trend. Now, I'm not taking the pound dollar, obviously, because I have the pound New Zealand, which I like better. But for those of you who are not trading pound New Zealand or just like the pound dollar, whatever your reason is, the pound dollar could be a potential long here, targeting this top level. Alright guys, and lastly I just want to cover the USD CAD. That way we covered USD, pound, euro, CAD, and yen, which are really the major currencies that I'm looking at. I'm not looking at, New Zealand as well. I'm not going to spend a lot of time looking at the AUD or the Swiss because they're so closely correlated to our other pairs here. But the USD CAD, pretty boring. As you can see this weekly, we've had 4 of the last 5 bars sitting on this slightly rising platform. So the question is, and it's been the same question for weeks, is are we going to get a breakup? Are we going to break through some major levels like the 50 fib here and get toward higher prices, or are we going to finally come down and test our low here where it reversed at? And obviously I still don't know the answer to that because I have not seen any good price action. So I just want to continue to encourage you to be patient with the USD CAD. I've been covering it a lot, even though there's not much to say, but I just want to continue to be patient. By the way, this parity level, I'm not sure if you guys are aware when you look at the weekly chart how powerful it is, but you can see just this incredible fortress of resistance it was before it finally broke. So that's why, again, and it's also the 50 level of this swing. So a big level at parity there that you definitely want to pay attention to. And of course that psych level as well. So that's the weekly analysis, guys. Pretty short and sweet, and I surely hope that it was beneficial to you. And I'll make one more plug for our signal service that I've been talking about for a few days. This will be the last day that I mention it because it'll be the last time to get on the waiting list for the signal service if you're interested. So I'll throw that link down there one more time. Hopefully, if you guys are interested in signal service, you decide to go with ours. I think it's great. And not to brag or anything, but our testing is showing some pretty incredible results since we finalized it that we'll be able to show you. So sign up just to see the results if you want, but pretty interesting stuff and definitely worth checking out if you're interested in signal service. Okay, so that'll be my marketing plug for that. Hope you guys don't mind, and leave any comments or thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys Monday.